Right, fingers crossed now it's working, I don't know. There we go, finally. Well, that was fun, wasn't it? That's how you learn to love the lovely streaming software that people use that is absolutely pointless. But there we go, at least we've missed most of qualifying, and I haven't had to commentate for most of it, which is good. We're back with 1 minute left in the qualifying session, and we can now just get rid of all of the lovely streams that have gone past in. I don't think I'm going to be using OBS Studio anymore. It seems like it is pointless for me. But there we go. Good shout out there to a not sponsor, and hopefully one that's never going to sponsor us in the future. But Fandra there currently sitting at the top of the positions. Currently at the 15.6 there. I don't think he's actually improved on the previous 15.6 that he did set, actually. So there we go. So Kamara Racer there putting himself up into P2. Dylan there in P3, looking to complete a lap again. He's gone up to P2 there with an improvement there of just under 2.5 tenths there from Dylan. Good stuff indeed, putting himself P2, currently the highest position that he would have been in the ALR qualifying session. If he can keep that position, that is, of course. He's only got 10 seconds left of the session, and I think he might have run out of chance there to go again. Kamara there really going for it through the final couple of corners as well to try and get himself any time he can, but he's unfortunately decided to come back into the pits. There is the Ferrari driver, so that's him done and dusted in his qualifying session. A few drivers there not been able to set a time there. Smithy is out on track, I think. He is out on track. Irvine, Dan Murphy, Grimmy there, not being able to get a time on the board, unfortunately for them. Round at the final corner comes the current pole sitter. Can he improve even more? No, he can't. He's done a 19.7. Now that's about 4 seconds off of his current pole time, which it stands at the moment. He is going to be Fandra there is going to be back on pole position once again, as we don't need my fan anymore because my fan was trying to cool down my laptop, but is not in use anymore because we don't have that lovely streaming software to be worried about this time. We're going to be back on the PlayStation for the time being, because it looks like that's going to be the way we're going to be going for the rest of the season as well, to be fair, because the OBS Studio does not like streaming the races anymore. Nonetheless, here goes Pot Stuff there round the final corner. Can he improve there on a 16.3? He's got a tenth or so to find and then potentially get himself up into the second row of the grid. He hasn't improved though on his final run there. Ultimate Beast coming back into the pit lane as well. That is qualifying done and dusted. Although we only had about 3 minutes of qualifying in total. It was an entertaining qualifying indeed, wasn't it? So there we go. The Vandra there is your pole sitter there as he comes through sector 2 now. Looking good indeed in the Haas for once again another commanding lead. Not commanding start, I should say, because of course we have seen Fangio there lose out the lead on the start in some races as well when he has started from pole position. Though we'll hope that's not the case for him tonight. Dylan there in P2, both Irishmen on the front row. Kamara Racer there settling for P3, Brabbit in P4 as well, Equaz there P5, Pot Stuff in P6, Ultimate Beast P7, Dopey Lemons P8, Cassell P9, Bradfield in P10. Just outside the top 10, we've got Zenex Josh in P11, reserving the McLaren, Wilson in P12, Farf in P13, Reflection P14, V Todd P15, Smithy P16, Gordo in P17, and then unfortunately Grimmy, Dan Murphy and Irvine didn't get a time in. Right, let's see how rainy it's going to be, or is it going to be nice and sunny as we head back to the Hungary now for the race. It looks like it's going to be nice and sunny to start with, at least anyway, so there we go. We have got the drivers there all loading in now. They're just getting their strategy sorted, of course getting the right tyres as well. All the fuel loads are going to be under scrutiny there for the well, as I just seen a nice comment there, but yeah, we've got all sorts of scrutiny there on the fuel loads, how much they're going to need for this race. They're going to factor in any safety cars or VSCs. We might have some around here. It can be a bit of a treacherous circuit, can't it? as we've just found out as well in the comment section that Fangio has now got the most pole positions in ALR Silver history there, which is fantastic stuff indeed there. Of course, Fangio there was rivaling Glock, I believe, who Glock, of course, raced in silver in season 1, no, season 2, I think it might be. Maybe season 1 as well, but that was where Glock there got the stats, and there we go. Then formation lap is underway. We'll go to the back of the grid there. We've got a Haas bookending both ends of the grid there with Irvine in P20 and of course Fangio in P1. Let's have a look at the tyre strategies then, shall we? From the back of the grid, we have Irvine there on the medium compound tyres in the Haas, who's just got himself underway there. Took him a bit of a time there to get all of them off the grid, but we've got ourselves underway finally. Now we've got Irvine there in P20, like I said. Dan Murphy in the Aston Martin on the hard compound tyres. Grimmy there, who's stepping into the Mercedes there for the first time tonight, is on the medium compound tyres, as is Gordo there, who's had a bit of a problem there coming out of turn 2, and that is putting him right down the back of the order at the moment. But Gordo there recovering the car in the Alpine, of course, on the medium compound tyres as well. Then we've got Smithy there, P16 on the mediums in the Williams. Then we've got V Todd in the Ferrari there on the hard compound tyres. Reflection P14 in the Red Bull on the mediums as well. As we've got a McLaren there doing some weird things. But Farf there in P13 on the hards, as is his teammate Wilson there on the hard compound tyres, P13 and P12 for the AlphaTauri drivers. Then we've got Zenex Josh there in P11 there. He's on the medium compound tyres in the McLaren reserving tonight. Bradfield in P10, just inside the points on the hard compound tyres is the Alfa Romeo driver. His teammate though, Cassell, in P9 on the medium compound tyres. So the Alfa Romeo splitting the strategy here for the start of this race. Dopey Lemons there on the mediums in P8. Ultimate Beast there, we saw him having a bit of a problem. I think it was him recovering the car, is in P7 on the hard compound tyres. Pot Stuff P6 on the mediums, as is Equaz there, as Gordo and Grimmy there have come together on the formation lap. Equaz there, as well as Pot Stuff on the medium compound tyres. Brabbit there on the second row of the grid on the hard compound tyres. Camaro Racer in P3 on the mediums. And then we've got the two front runners on the front row. Dylan there on the hards in P2. And our pole sitter Fangio also on the hard compound tyres. Right then, Fangio's been disqualified from the formation lap, but I think it's just the formation lap because he's not parked in the right grid spot. We're just waiting for the cars to line up on the grid, as it looks like Beast has had a bit of a problem there getting himself underway. But we'll have a look at this angle. We can't see any angle. What is going on here? There we go. The 5 red lights are coming on here in Hungary. 5 red lights are on and the 5 red lights are off as we get going here for the Hungarian Grand Prix of Silver Season 5, and Fangio there gets away well there, even on the hard compound tyres. Camaro there on the mediums gets up to P2, gets ahead of Dylan there before we get to turn 1 into the braking zone. We go deep there. Equaz there going very late on the brakes, going around the outside there of Dylan as well. Dylan's been swamped there. He's down to P4 from P2 already. Pot Stuff might make a move here as well as we go into turn 2. There's a bit of contact there between Brabbit and Dopey Lemons as well, I think, between the two Mercedes and the Alpine there. He's got himself through though, thankfully. I think the hard compound runners are struggling off the start here, and that's why the Mercedes, not the Mercedes, it was the Mercedes actually, Farf has got past as well. Zenex Josh up into the points as well. Both the Alfa Romeos dropping out of the top 10 as it stands, as Smithy's got himself past V Todd there. The medium compound tyres are the ones to start on, of course, in this race. They have the most grip there off the starting line. But of course, coming back into this race, the hard compound tyres will phase in the next few laps or so, and then it will come back around there for the hard compound runners as well. Wilson's dropped down to the back of the field. I'm not quite sure what happened to him, as we've now got all sorts of things going on. Message retracted there from Diggis in the comment section. Not quite sure what happened to him there, but hopefully he's all right. As Pot Stuff there looking to get himself past Beast. Now the hard compound tyres probably still warming up a bit for those drivers who have elected to start on the hardest compound. We've got all the Fangio there going all over the place there down the main straight. He's got Kamara right behind him now. Equaz has already got himself up into P3 there on the medium compound tyres. Also, Dylan there is struggling to keep up at this stage of the race. So the pace of the medium runners is going to be pretty quick at this stage compared to those hard runners as well. Gordo there and Grimmy there switching places there into turn one. He's got the move done. Has Gordo, or has he? It's close indeed between the Alpine and the Mercedes. I think they might come back at each other. Got a spinner there of Favre at turn two. He's got himself back underway. But there might be a bit of damage there to the AlphaTauri. I'm not quite sure. Both the AlphaTauris not having a good start to this race. They have dropped down from P12 and 13 respectively as Dan Murphy going for a move into turn four. That is an audacious move indeed, as around the outside there goes Irvine as well. Great move if he can pull that off. He has pulled it off as well. What a move indeed from Irvine. Fantastic fight back there from the Haas driver, getting himself up into P15 ahead of the Aston Martin on this occasion. Good stuff indeed between the two of them as well. Fair battling and not an easy place to overtake indeed. And he's got the move done and dusted. Gordo there all over the back there of Dan Murphy. Not quite sure if the Aston Martin might have some damage there. We might have to recollect and reflect on that one. Here comes Grimmy though down the inside. He's thought about it, but he stuck his nose in there, but then he thought about it as well. Now he's going down the outside into the final, well, the penultimate turn, I should say. Around the outside, here we go. Goes the Mercedes. Can he get the move done this time? Now turns to the inside there for the final corner. He's got Favre all over the back of him. Now DRS has been enabled as we enter lap 3, but they don't have DRS just yet on this straight. Oh, tucking in there. It was very close indeed between Favre and Gordo as well. Was the Mercedes. He's now going to be trying to box that AlphaTauri in, so he can't make any moves. Into turn one we go, as there's still no moves made. Oh, there's contact there from Grimmy on the outside of Gordo. I think it was Dan Murphy has left the session there, unfortunately for Dan Murphy. He is not had a problem. He's had a problem there. Zenix Josh has got himself back underway. He's had a spin there, the exit of turn 2, and he's got himself underway back again, I should say. But he's not got any wing damage, I should thankfully say, for the McLaren driver. Vitold's off the circuit as well at the exit of turn 3, and unfortunately for Vitold, that's dropping him right down to the back of the grid there with the likes of Grimmy and Wilson and Favre getting themselves through there for the further positions. Unfortunately, I'm not sure what happened to Dan Murphy there. He's disconnected from the session there, so that is him done and dusted, unless he can get himself back in the car. Not good news there for the Aston Martin outfit, which will be hoping that he can get himself back in the car to get himself up in the points-paying positions as well. Fangio there currently leads the race, leads the way, as we got a yellow flag there for, once again, another AlphaTauri. I'm not quite sure what's happening there for the AlphaTauri team. They're not having a great time. Grimmy's also off the circuit again as well, as Kamara there comes down at the back, down the main straight, I should say, into turn 1. Favre's lost the plot, says Serious Mushroom. Not quite sure what's going on there between the AlphaTauri boys, but they're not having a good time there. Smithy Almighty's also not having a good time, as he's had a spin there at the exit of turn 1, and that is him off the circuit. Grimmy there seems to be reversing the car to get himself back in the pit lane there. I'm not quite sure what is going on with Grimmy. He's not having a great time there in the Mercedes. He's got himself in the pit lane though. Smithy Almighty there is having an issue there. He's got himself back underway there in P18. Can look to carry on now from here as well. Those medium compound tyres I think might have been a bit, as Grimmy's retired. He's the first retirement of this race. He's in the pit lane, but he's not had a good race in his first outing for Mercedes there. That is the first pit and quit, and that is not good news for the Mercedes outfit and for Grimmy himself as well. Down in the P12 into P13, I should say. Bradfield's had a spin there in sector 2. He has been passed there by Gordo and Dan Murphy as well. Now Gordo up into P13. Good stuff indeed from him, but Bradfield there having an issue, and that has cost him positions there on those hard compound tyres, looking to go long. Of course, Dan Murphy is still not in the car, so I'm not quite sure what's happened there. Fangio's had an issue. Fangio's had a problem with the final quarter. He's lost the lead of the race. Kamara there takes the lead. Fangio's had a spin. Has he got wing damage as well? That might be crucial for the Haas driver as well. If he can, he has got wing damage there. The left end plate there of the Haas is having an issue. It's not there at all, actually. That's the issue. But he's now got to come back in the pit lane, I'm sure of that, after that damage there for the Haas. Really unfortunate there for Fangio. We didn't quite see what happened, but he was sort of correcting the car at the exit of the final turn, and unfortunately he's dropped down to P9 there. He's just inside the points as it stands, but I think there'll be a wing change coming there for the Haas driver. Unfortunately for Fangio there, it's the curse of the commentator. As I did say earlier, we've seen Fangio there lose the race from the lead of the race after qualifying fantastically on pole position. Unfortunately, he's dropped down to P9 for now. He will lose a few more positions, I think, if he comes in for a wing change as well, which has relinquished the lead now to Camaro Racer, and Equaz there is right behind the Ferrari driver as well to put the pressure on there for the lead of this race now. They've, unfortunately, for 4 laps there, Fangio led the way very nice indeed, but now Equaz has taken the reins there, or not taken the reins, sorry, Camaro has taken the reins, but Equaz is going to be all over the back of him trying to get that P1 position now, as we've got only one retirement so far, and that is Grimmy there, who decided just to pit and quit. Which is, like I said, not good news there for the Mercedes outfit, but the only retirement so far in this race, 6 laps in. As we start lap 6, Fangio is in the pit lane. So let's see what he can do now. Potstuff and Beast battling into turn 1. Potstuff's got the move done, of course, on those medium compound tyres. They're still being a good window for the time being, but he's got himself up into P4 there, has Potstuff. Good stuff indeed. Now he's about 1 second behind Dylan. If he can get within the DRS range, that would be good news indeed for Potstuff to pull himself along. Fangio there dropping down to the back of the grid there, as he has got himself a new front wing on that Haas, can get himself back underway. V Todd and Wilson battling away into turn 1 and 2. There's contact between the two of them there. V Todd's got the inside and the DRS as they go round turn 2 now. Well, it looks like they're going around turn 2. I thought they were going to go a bit faster around turn 2, but they haven't. As V Todd there gets... Oh, he's off the circuit. It's V Todd. That's a big smash there for the Ferrari driver. He's gone off the circuit. He's got the car. There's a safety car as well. A safety car has been called out for the accident there from the Ferrari. You can just see in the background there as the Haas of Fangio just coming out the pit lane is coming out of the pits now. He's gone out right behind V Todd as well, I should say. So that is not good news, because V Todd is going to be a bit slow, I think, on those without that front wing, especially through sector 2. Yeah, unfortunately for Fangio, that is not good news as well. But the good news is that the safety car will bunch up the grid. Let's have a look at it. Is Equaz? Equaz is coming in the pit lane here. He's done 6 laps there on those medium compound tyres, but he decided to call it a day there already on the mediums. I'm not quite sure what the strategy is going to be here for the Aston Martin team. Safety car Fangio stuffed. I think actually Fangio was very much helped out by that safety car. Otherwise he would be much further back from the grid, from the rest of the grid, I should say, as Irvine there carries on. So does Denix Josh. Equaz coming out in P10 there on the hard compound tyres. Not a bad call there from Equaz. Can he get the hards to the end of the race though? He's got to do 27 laps there on those hard compound tyres. V-Todd's picked up a penalty there for speeding under the VSC. Dan Murphy's joined back. V-Todd there has got a problem there. I'm not quite sure how he got that penalty. Hopefully he can serve it in the pit lane and get rid of it. As Bradfield is also in the pit, so is Favre as well. All of the both the AlphaTauri, I should say, not all of them. There's only 2 of them on the grid, but both the AlphaTauris pitting as well. Mediums there for Favre and for Wilson. V-Todd is getting a wing change. I'm not quite sure if he served that penalty or not. We'll find out when he gets out of the pit lane. But fingers crossed that'll be that. Dan Murphy has got himself back in the car. I think he has. Yet that looks to be a solid Aston Martin now, which is good news for Dan Murphy. Of course, he has not been able to pit there under the safety car, of course, though. But of course, started on the hard compound tyres, so was looking to go long in the first stint anyway. Reflection and Equaz, the only drivers to pit from the medium compound tyres to a fresh set of hard compound tyres. Everybody else who has pit for mediums. So that's an interesting strategy call there from the drivers who pit from hards to mediums. I would have thought they would have just carried on a bit on the hard compound tyres. V-Todd has got himself sorted now and can get himself back in the safety car queue, and we'll be able to get ourselves back underway for some green flag running. Of course, I'm not quite sure what that is for there, but there we go nonetheless. I'm not sure why Favre is inviting people now, but it seems like everybody is in the lobby as far as I can tell. Dan Murphy was the only one who wasn't in the lobby, and he's got himself back in now, which is good news, as we're just waiting for V Todd, Wilson and Bradfield there to catch up to the safety car queue. And if Equaz can make the hards last, he can get the win. I would say, says Sirius Mushroom as well, and I would have to agree with you as well. I think that he's got to do 27 laps. And there we go then. He's in the midfield madness now as well. Good stuff indeed. Right then, we're just waiting for the drivers to catch up to the queue. There we've got V Todd there as the last driver to catch up. Hopefully we'll be in this lap and we'll be able to get ourselves underway for some more green flag running. On to lap 8 of 35, and we've got less laps now. We've got 27 laps. I think it is 27 laps or 28 laps to go. 26 laps maybe at the end of this one, but nonetheless we'll be back underway, and hopefully we'll be back underway at the end of this lap. just regarding, it depends on how quick Wilson and V Todd can try and catch up. But like I said, we're going to be always got a problem there for Smithy Almighty's off the circuit. And this is exactly why you don't want to be stopping and going on a circuit with drivers all around. And now he's got a problem as Dan Murphy's once again left the session there. And I think that might have been the result of Dan Murphy's issue there. That was the whole issue, I should say. It was Dan Murphy who had a bit of an issue there going off the circuit or going into AI mode again, I should say. He has got himself back underway. It looks like the rest of the grid have got themselves in their positions as well, thankfully, without any penalties to be had. So good stuff indeed. Not quite sure what's going on for Dan Murphy there. He's having a few issues, but he has hopefully can get himself back into the race, into the session very shortly indeed. Green flag running. We have got ourselves underway. Camaro's gone. He's gone early as well. He's got the Ferrari there on the money, and away he goes. Dylan there in P2. Potstuff putting the challenge on into turn one already. Here comes the Red Bull of Potstuff there into turn one. No moves made just yet. Ultimate Beast there and Brabant there into P4 and P5. Dopey Lemons P6. Moves being made by Zenix Josh ahead of Irvine there for P8 there, and down the field. Reflection's dropping down. I'm not quite sure what happened to Reflection here. He's had an issue there, has the Red Bull driver. He's got himself back underway. No wing damage. Farf and Smithy switching places into turn two as well. The Alpha Tauri going around the outside. There's contact, and that was a spin that was always going to happen. I think there with the angle of the corner and the way that both drivers were turning in, that was always going to happen. Reflection and Bradfield switching places as well. Into turn four. Reflection's been passed by the Alfa Romeo this time, and Bradfield up into P15 as well. Good stuff indeed for Bradfield there after pitting for a fresh set of medium compound tyres under that safety car period. But Reflection, they're not having a good start there. I think the medium runners, of course, on fresh mediums around him, as Fangio has lost the positions there on the I know he hasn't, he's just taken over, he's overtaken Dan Murphy there, sorry, got himself up into P12 there, has Fangio there after pitting there just before the safety car came out, but I think the safety car still helped him massively to catch up to the safety car queue, of course, with that wing damage there that he suffered after the spin on the final corner here. It was this final corner here that he had the incident there as he came round this corner and then put the power down a bit too early there coming onto the main straight. He was spinning off in towards the right hand side towards the pit wall. Here comes Fangio there, battling with Gordo as well down at the main straight towards turn one. Gordo there very sensibly, I think, knows that his battle is not with the Haas driver tonight. And as Irvine has been passed by Equaz there, Equaz getting himself up into P9. We saw somebody else get passed. I think it was Dan Murphy being passed by Farf. And that is Farf up into P13 after the dismal start to the Alpha Tauri's race. They've got themselves back up, well, one of them's got themselves back up to where they started. Hopefully, good management required, says Diggis there. I think referring to Equaz there on his hard compound tyres. Can he do 27 laps there on those hard compound tyres? It might be 20, it might be 29 actually. I think I've got my maths wrong. But there we go. Dylan has unfortunately not been able to keep hold of Kamara Racer there on this restart. He's lost 1.7 seconds already to the Ferrari, and now Kamara can try and get himself as far ahead as he can to extend the gap. Dan Murphy there's of course not in this session, so I'm not quite sure what's happening to Dan Murphy there. He has just got a PS5, so I'm not quite sure if there's lobby settings or if the settings itself of the PS5 are not just having a good time for him, as Favre gets himself past Gorda there. The fresher medium compound tyres there paying dividends into the final few turns. And Farf now up into P12. Their DRS has been enabled, of course, after the safety car restart. We have to wait 2 laps before the DRS is reactivated, of course. And it has been now. Fangio there trying to get himself back up into the top 10. He's got his teammate to get past now, and Fangio, I think maybe some team orders shouting at Gunter there to try and to let him through there on this stage of the race. Dan Murphy still not in the car there, has been passed by Wilson there. Fangio has got past there into the points paying positions there. He's got himself past his teammate, into turn 2, and now can set his sights on his championship rival there, Equaz as well. Equaz, of course, did opt to pit there from the mediums, 6-lap old mediums as well, I might say, onto the hard compound tyres. If he can go the distance, that will be one amazing feat indeed for the Aston Martin driver, car number 21 here as well. He's now got his championship rival of Fangio there almost breathing down his neck there. You can see the Haas and the Aston Martin in the same shot, very close indeed. He's got, of course, a few drivers there who haven't pitted, of course, under the safety car to get through as well, as Vitor gets himself past Dan Murphy for P16, as Equaz there still putting the pressure on here in the final few corners of the lap into the last corner. Dan Murphy is back in the session now. Hopefully he can get himself back underway in this car. He's not too far off. And like I said, still on the same strategy as he was on the beginning of this race. Here comes Equaz now round the final corner. Fanjo there is going to be excited if Equaz can't make a move, although it looks like he can. Look at the straight line speed there of the Aston Martin. He's ahead before the braking zone. He's tucked back in to the racing line as well before the braking zone. Fantastic stuff indeed from Equaz. He's got himself up into P8 now, looking to chase after Cassell. A few more drivers as Fanjo there going around the outside of Zenix Josh there into turn 2. We saw the contact there between the AlphaTauri and the Williams of Farf and Smithy there into turn 2 on the previous lap, but Fanjo there looking good indeed. A fantastic overtake indeed from the championship protagonist, and he's up into P9 for the time being now, looking to chase down Equaz at this stage of the race. So there, good stuff indeed, and we've got a few more gaps emerging now throughout the field. Bradfield's had a problem there. Bradfield's had an issue there at the exit of turn 5. He's had a spin there, unfortunately has the Alfa Romeo. He's now having to recover the car. He's down into P19. Can he get himself back underway? He can, but unfortunately for the Alfa Romeo driver, he's doing so well, getting himself back up the order, and then he had a spin there, unfortunately for the Alfa Romeo driver, and he's got himself back underway there. Can he get himself back in this race? Those tyres still look to be overheated there as he's trying to keep the car under control there through sector 2, and sector 2 is not an easy sector, even when your tyres are in the temperature window, but he's got himself back underway there, thankfully, as Dylan there has got himself a 2-second gap. No, Kamara's got a 2-second gap there, and up into P1 is the Ferrari driver checking out in the distance at the moment. Of course, he has yet to make a pit stop. None of the top 7 have made a pit stop just yet. Cassell there, who's under pressure there from Equaz, though. Into turn 2 we go. Equaz has made the pit stop onto the hard compound tyres after the safety car came out on lap 5. Can he make any moves there into turn 4? A dangerous place indeed to try and make an ambitious overtake, but he's not been able to make the move on the Alfa Romeo just yet. Cassell doing a good job of holding on to that P7 for the time being, and Dopey Lemons they're just dropping out the DRS range of Brabham, which could be a interesting start to the strategy moves. Could there be some more pit stops coming very soon as Bradfield's off the circuit again? I think at the exit of turn 3 he's got himself back underway, but not looking good unfortunately for Bradford at this stage of the race. Hopefully he can get himself back underway and get himself back in the order. He's not too far off Smithy at this stage, and of course on a fresher medium compound tyre, so the drivers around him or just ahead of him will have to make a pit stop very soon as well, but most of them, so there's still all to play for indeed. Dopey Lemons has lost the DRS there, so now Cassell will be excited about this. Can he get himself up into P6 there? Will he bring Equaz and Fanjo in P8 and P9 with him as well, though? Fanjo's had a spin again. Fanjo's off the circuit. He's had a massive he's had another spin basically at the exit of the final turn, exactly where exactly what happened to him on the last occasion where he had wing damage on that one, but he's managed to keep it out of the wall on this occasion. Unfortunately for Fanjo there, he's dropped down to P14 there, losing places to Zenix Josh, Irvine, Farf, Wilson and V Todd, but he's now got himself a bit more of a battle there to get himself back underway. Unfortunately for Fanjo, it's not looking good at this stage of the race, but it could play back into his favour as well. Cassell there not been able to get past Dopey Lemons on this occasion. Equaz slotting in behind for the time being, just keeping it calm and cool as Zenix Josh there is now under pressure from Irvine. This time into the chicane we go. It was a bit of an odd one there. I'm not quite sure what's happened to Josh there. He's off the circuit, and now Farf trying to go. No, it's not Farf. It is Farf. Sorry, he has got the move done. As Zenix Josh there just recovering the car, but nicely done indeed, not to impede the AlphaTauri as much as he could. He was trying to keep himself off the circuit, as he's once again off the circuit again, and that is just a case of the tyres being overheated at this stage of the race. And it might be time, actually, to be fair, it could be time very soon indeed for a few pit stops as Zenix Josh there off the circuit once again. I'm not quite sure what is going on here for the McLaren driver. He's having a few issues there, it looks like. Hopefully he can get himself back underway, but maybe there is some technical difficulties there for the McLaren. He has got himself back underway now, I think, so good stuff indeed. Here comes V Todd there on the back of the AlphaTauri of Wilson there. Can he make any moves into turn 1? V Todd late on the brakes this time into turn 1. We've got the move done. Has he got? No, but I think Wilson's got the switch back on him. Up into P12. Back goes the AlphaTauri, and unfortunately for the Ferrari driver, that move did not pay off. He's now more under pressure from Fanjo there than he is attacking Wilson, and that is unfortunately for V Todd. That just move. He was just too late on the brakes there, wasn't he? Here comes Fanjo once again. They're up into turn 4. Can he make any moves? No, not quite. He doesn't want to make any moves there, I think, as once again going wide at the exit of turn 4 as well. If you go on that curb incorrectly, it can cause a few issues for you, but thankfully he is a-okay. Oh, there's a contact there. Something's off. It's Equaz off. Equaz is off the circuit in Sector 2. I'm not quite sure if there was a helping hand, but he's had a nudge there, and unfortunately for Equaz, he's lost a few places as well. Fanjo's got himself back in the battle with his championship protagonist, but currently both of them in P2 and P3 of the championship are out of the points-paying positions. V-Todd is right in front of these two now. That's going to be a bit dangerous there for V-Todd, I think, as they're going to be all over the back of them right now as they would go into the penultimate turn. Into the pits goes into the pits goes Kamara Racer and Cassell, both the Alfa Romeo and the Ferrari into the pit lane. Onto the hard compound tyres goes Kamara. I think it is time maybe for the medium runners. If they've done 15 or more laps on those medium compound tyres, there will be time. It will be time now to get into the pit lane and get themselves serviced again. Kamara and Cassell, the only drivers to make a pit stop though in that phase, as out comes the Ferrari in front of Reflection. It's close indeed. Of course, Ferrari trying to warm up his tyres. V-Todd and Fanjo battling away, Favre and Irvine battling away as well. They've got the moves done, I think. It will go side by side up the hill. This is going to be close indeed as ZX Josh has made contact there with Wilson, and there's into the back of them goes Equaz, and I think there's somebody else off there as well. Is it Fanjo? It might be Fanjo as well. They're both the championship leaders, or championship protagonists, I should say, off the circuit after a collision there with Zenex Josh. I think Zenex Josh went for the move. Wilson there was on the outside, I should say. Not quite sure if it was, it might have been Farf actually. I'm not quite sure which AlphaTauri it was, but Fanjo there in the mix. Unfortunately for Fanjo, that has cost him as well. And I think Equaz has come off the worst there. I think Equaz might have wing damage as well. It doesn't look like it on my screen, but it looks like Fanjo might have some wing damage. Unfortunately for him, Zenex Josh moving down the order. He's been passed by Smithy. I'm not quite sure what happened to Zenex Josh as well. If they've both got damage or not, we'll have to find out. As around the outside goes the Williams this time. As we go into the pits there for ZX Josh, it looks like Fanjo's carrying on this occasion, as is Equaz. Down the inside goes Equaz into the final turn. He's got the move done. Oh, there's contact between the two of them, and that is a big spin indeed. And I think that was, I'm not quite sure what happened there, as Fanjo's retired on the circuit, and that is a safety car. A safety car has been called out of Fanjo. I think that was a fault there from the championship protagonist of Fanjo. Unfortunately, he has quit on track as well, which is not good news. Equaz there will have to come back into the pits, I'm sure, with that left end plate missing on the car. Unfortunately for him, the safety car is out. It has the second time that we've got the safety car out on track there on the halfway distance of this race. I'm not quite sure why Fanjo had to retire, to be honest, because I think it's just time for it could be time for another pit stop, and then you can get yourself back in the race, I think. With Fanjo's pace, anything could happen. But unfortunately, he is out of the race. He decided to retire on the track, and that unfortunately will count as a pit and quit, I think, for Fanjo, which is a bit of a shame. Equaz says, I don't know what to say. Well, I'll tell you what you should do is just get yourself on with the race, mate. You've got plenty of time left in this race to get yourself back in the points and get some points for yourself and the team. So there's plenty more time to go in this one. Dylan is in the pit lane, as is Beast and Brabbit and Favre and Irvine and everybody else pretty much. I don't know if Wilson's going to come in the pits. No, he's not. He's staying out, as Kamara Racer is going to stay out, I think, as well. Oh no, he's coming in the pit lane. Interesting stuff indeed from Kamara there on one lap hold hard compound tyres. Deciding to call it a day there already on those hards, and he decided to come into the pit lane and switch onto the mediums probably as well. We'll have to find out. Onto the mediums goes Dylan there, currently in the net lead of the race, I think, because Wilson is yet to pit. Ultimate Beast has also got a penalty for himself there, has the McLaren driver, so that is unfortunate, but he's currently in P2, Brabbit in P3, or net P3, that is P4 currently in the standing order. Pot stuff onto the hard compound tyres in P5, Farf in P6, Irvine P7. Then we've got Dopey Lemons, who's already pitted there for one lap old hards in P8. Cassell there, 2 lap old hards in P9. Kamara there coming out once again, making a bit of an odd call there. I think he could have stayed on the hard compound tyres and gone to the end. Kamara there opting for the medium compound tyres in P10 now. Dan Murphy's gone on to fresh mediums, and he's actually got himself back in the car, which is good news. He's up into P11 there. Gordo there on the hards as well, can go to the end, I should say, from this stage of the race, I should say. Gordo there, P12, indeed. Reflection, P13. Smithy, P14. ZX Josh there, P15. V-Todd in P16. Equaz there in P17. He's going to have a recovery job on his hands, but I'm sure if anyone can do it, Equaz can. Bradfield there in P18 there on the medium compound tyres as well, and unfortunately for Fanjo and Grimmy, they have decided to pit and quit there, although albeit Fanjo was on the circuit, but yeah, he basically just retired on track as the car was still able to go. We saw the car move off after the after the Haas retired, unfortunately, but there we go. Right then, we've got another safety car there at the midway point of this race. We won't be back racing on this lap, so we're going to be having another lap of racing after this one. I think we're just waiting for the likes of Bradfield and Equaz there to catch up to the safety car queue. Zenex Josh has opted for the medium compound tyres, so it looks like we're going to be back underway on the next lap, I would say, because it was definitely going to be going through the next lap now, as it looks like Bradfield and Equaz there didn't catch up to the queue just in time, unfortunately for them. But like I said, it will be extending the stint there, extending the life of the tyres there for some other drivers as well. Some drivers who switched onto the medium compound tyres might be glad that Bradfield there didn't catch up the safety car queue, because that will mean that they could extend the life of their medium compound tyres. They're of course not taking as much life under the safety car, not taking as much life out of the tyres, I should say, under the safety car than they would be, of course, going at race pace. So this is helpful for the medium runners, I would say, getting themselves to the end of the race. I'm not quite sure if Bradfield's got a problem though, or run out of medium compound tyres, because he's got 5 laps on those mediums already, and we'll have to do another 16 laps as well. Dan Murphy's left the session, so he's having technical difficulties, is the Aston Martin, and that is him out of the session, out of the car at this stage of the race, unfortunately for him. Rightio, then we are back in the Crocodile, so we've got hopefully a race restart to come at the end of this lap. We're going to be on to lap 20 now, aren't we? Which will of course mean we've got 16 laps to go, counting lap 20 itself as well. So 16 laps is doable on those medium compound tyres, whether if you've got a fresh set, that is. But we'll have to find out and see what the drivers can do on this occasion. There we've got the safety car coming in at this lap. So let's have a look and see what Wilson's going to do. Is he going to go early or late? Of course, he has to wait for the safety car to get itself back in the pit lane first. It's all going to kick off, says Serious Mushroom. I think it's all going to kick off already. But let's have a look and find out how it's going to unfold in this one. As there we go, we've got the looks of the safety car. I think he just getting himself back in the queue. I can't quite see because the comments section is just popping up on my phone. Looks like the safety car has got himself back in the pit lane, thankfully. So Bert Mylander has parked himself up again. And that is him done and dusted there, hopefully for the last time in this race. As Wilson, they're going around the final corner now to get the restart underway. And we will get ourselves back underway. It's a bit of a late restart there, as Dylan there is probably not too happy with that one, but nonetheless, he's got himself back underway. Beast there has got a good start though, and now looking to go around the outside there of the Williams car. That is not good news indeed for Dylan though. Can he get the position back? He can't, unfortunately. It looks like Beast on a great start, on a great restart there indeed from the McLaren driver. Got himself up into P2 there with a fantastic restart. Made the most of the difficult start for Dylan there, and he's got himself up into P2 now. Off the circuit goes Farf there. We've seen the spinner there in the background there, Farf and the AlphaTauri. He's off the circuit. He's got himself back underway, thankfully though. And I'm not quite sure if there was contact there or not, but it looked like going through turn 3, it's very easy to lose the car there. We saw V Todd there lose the car. I think it was twice actually. V Todd's had a problem there, but he's got himself back on the order. Equaz there and Dan Murphy switching places, although Dan Murphy is not currently in the Aston Martin, of course. He has, of course, lagged out of the session there, so I'm not quite sure what is going on there for Dan Murphy. Is round the back, round the up at the top, I should say. We've got Dylan there dropping places there to Brabbit there. Brabbit has got himself up into P3 now. Good stuff indeed. Here comes Pot Stuff around the outside. Oh, there's contact again. What's happened there? Beast is off the circuit. Beast has dropped down to P7 there. There's commotion there in the top field. Wilson's got away here, which is good news for him. But Dylan there. Oh, Beast has had another spin now. I'm not quite sure what's happened to Beast. So we've got another switch of positions here once again. Brabbit's got himself up into P3. Dylan kept hold of P2. Potstuff now into P4. Irvine there in P5, and Kamara Racer there is under pressure there from Dopey Lemons. Now round the outside goes Dopey Lemons, but I think the medium tyres of Kamara Racer's got himself back up the order. Not quite sure what's happening there I think there's a bit of confusion, of course, as well between what's going on with Dan Murphy's ghost car. Equaz has got himself past Cassell there, up into P. Oh, it's close indeed between Equaz and Reflection here. As Equaz up into P10. That up back in the points there is the Aston Martin driver, I should say, as one of the Aston Martin drivers of Dan Murphy has got himself back into the car. Back in the race, I should say. He's joined back in, but he's not having a great time there at this stage of the race. I'm not quite sure what is happening there to the internet for one of the Aston Martin drivers. Brabbit has the pace to win this, says Serious Mushroom. It was not me, it was Brabbit there, not the commentator's curse. It was all Serious Mushroom there in the comment section, nothing to do with me. As here comes Dylan there down the inside into the sector 2, into sector 2 I should say. He's not made the move though, he's backed out there thinking that maybe that wing is more precious there than anything else. Here comes Pot Stuff down the inside of Brabbit there, no not quite. Oh, there's contact between Irvine and Pot Stuff there, into the final turn we go. Kamara on the outside this time of the Haas this time as they go round the final corner. It's close indeed, side by side between Irvine and Kamara. Down on the back straight, no DRS just yet. We've got DRS enabled though. It is going to be activated down the next main straight when they go around the one more time. As Irvine there switching places. Dylan's got the lead of the race, has he? No, not quite. He's got Wilson still to contend with down to the inside into turn 2, and the deep dive there from the AlphaTauri. Dylan's going to have to fight round the outside, but I think he's got the grip there on the medium compound tyres to keep position there. Wilson's gone for a spin there. Unfortunately, we've seen a few drivers spin there. Unfortunately for the AlphaTauri driver, he's out of the top 10. Unfortunately for him, he's down the back now, which is a big shame there for Wilson. He was doing a good job there, hanging on to the lead of the race with those old tyres as well. But the fresh mediums now have got themselves through. Brabbit there is still within range there of Dylan there, potentially for a win here. Pot Stuff has got himself up into P3. We have got penalties though. Let's have a look. 3 seconds there for Pot Stuff, 3 for Reflection, 3 for Zenix Josh, and for Ultimate Beast. Both McLarens down the back of the field there have got 3-second penalties as well. Unfortunately for them, that is not good news for the McLarens and for Pot Stuff and for Reflection. It's both the McLarens and both the Red Bulls actually have got 3-second penalties each. So that is that. Murphy's once again left the session though, and Farf and Ultimate Beast battling away. Beast getting himself back underway. Yellow flag. It's for Zenix Josh there off the circuit at the background. He's got himself back underway though, thankfully, and without too much time lost there to the likes of Wilson and to Bradfield further up in the order. We've got Gorda being passed there by Equaz. Equaz up into P7. Not quite sure what he was doing there. He was weaving around on the main straight, but he didn't need to. He's already made the move. Irvine and Dopey Lemons are they're battling away still side by side on the hard compound tyres around the exit. Around turn 2 we go. It looks like Irvine, I think, has kept the position there just about. He's got the move. He's got the position. He's got P5. Irvine has the hat, I should say. But he's lost DRS now to Kamara. So Kamara's got himself back up into P4, potentially on for a podium here and a win for the Ferrari outfit. And looking good indeed after a difficult, an interesting strategy call. It wasn't a difficult race. He was doing a great job there. And he decided to pit once again, didn't he? After one lap on those hard compound tyres when the second safety car came out. Yellow flags for Zenix Josh there at the back of the field. He's got no front wing there. He needs to get himself back to the pit lane there to get that sorted, and hopefully he can get that fixed and dealt with as well. Dylan there looking to stretch the lead now, but he's got Brabbit for company still, and looks like Pot Stuff is dropping off the back of this battle here at the moment. Equaz has got himself past Dopey Lemons, or has he? He's up into P6 at the moment. Dopey Lemons there on the inside though. Dopey Lemons trying to go down the inside, I should say. Equaz has got the move done though. He's up into P6 though. Dopey Lemons will have the DRS down the next straight though. Let's have a look and see what's going on down the order. I think we've got a McLaren there of Zenix Josh trying to get himself back to the pit lane. Unfortunately for him, here comes Brabbit now down the main straight. He's not made any moves just yet. Reflection's made a move though, up into P8 there for the Red Bull driver, and he's got himself past Gordo. Gordo doing a good job there in the points paying position as it stands at the moment. Farf is getting himself past Smithy there. Beast is coming through as well. It looks like he's got himself up into P14. Has the McLaren driver, but Zenix Josh has got himself back to the pit lane. Thankfully for Zenix Josh, he's retired in the pit lane. Thankfully it's not a safety car, but it was just a shame there for Zenix Josh not having the luck of the green on this occasion. Pot Stuff picks up another penalty. That's 6 seconds now for Pot Stuff, which is not good news for the Red Bull driver. He's going to drop himself out of the podium contention, I would believe, as we've got Kamara Racer all over the back of him here. Look, he's almost pushing the Red Bull through sector 2 here. Equaz back to 6th. Geez, says Serious Mushroom. I think he can get further than that. He can get himself past Irvine, I think, now, and potentially can get himself out. We can get leapfrog Pot Stuff as well on those with the penalty situation for the Red Bull. He could get himself on the podium. Who could Equaz? He could still get himself some great points indeed in the championship fight as well. Good stuff as his rival of Fat and Joe is out of the race, and Nigel, of course, is not participating in the race. Dopey Lemons has had an issue there as we come out of sector 2 into sector 3. He's getting the car back underway. He's unfortunately dropped to the back of the field there. Hopefully he can get himself sorted and get himself back underway. I think there's going to be a few drivers there who do have to make a pit stop still, so if he can keep those tyres cool and get the car back underway, he could potentially get himself back into points paying positions. Oh, he's had a bit of slide there, and I think V. Todd has got himself past Cassell there. Has he into P9 down the inside, I should say. Round the outside goes the Alfa Romeo. The angle there cuts towards turn 2. And we've got there V. Todd up into P9. They're both the Ferraris in the top points, or in the points, I should say, which is good news indeed, as Zenix Josh has left the session, unfortunately, for Josh. Just wasn't his race tonight. Equaz there couldn't get himself past Irvine there on the main DRS straight. That is maybe a bit of straight line speed there in the Haas, which is looking good to protect him there from the rivals behind. Kamara couldn't get himself past Potstuff either. Brabbit is still doing a good job there of keeping Dylan honest for the race win, and Dylan there looking good for a first race win in silver as well. Brabbit there will be chasing them down hand over fist. We've got 10 laps to go at the end of this one, and there's still all to play for in this race. There's not too much gap between any of the drivers, to be fair, who are still in this one. Podium Master Equaz says serious rush from him. He could be on for it. Favre has had an issue. Favre has had a problem there at the exit of sector 2. He's end of sector 2, I should say. He's dropped down the order. He's going to be passed by Dopey Lemons now as well. Favre there at the back of the grid potentially can get a set of softs on and go for a faster lap or so to get himself another point, but he's down out the order at the moment. Brabbit there, he's just clinging on there. Kamara's got himself past Potstuff, and behind him Equaz has got past Irvine as well for P5. Here comes Kamara round the outside of turn 1. It's always a bit slow, that camera angle, but he's got himself done as Favre. What is Favre doing here? Favre's got himself back underway, thankfully. But Kamara up into P3. That's back on the podium as the Ferrari driver. Good stuff indeed from him. Potstuff slotting into P4. Equaz, though, has got himself up into P5, getting past Irvine there. Irvine still on for a good result there with the penalties for the drivers ahead of him and around him as well. So it's not all doom and gloom for Irvine just yet. Can he cling on to the back of that Aston Martin, I should say, and potentially with the later on we might see the hard compound tyre runners of Irvine and of Potstuff phase in a bit more in this race, because we might see the mediums drop off in the next few laps or so. Brabbit there keeping the Williams of Dylan honest at the time for the time being, but he's just staying within the DRS range. He's not actually putting any pressure on the Williams as it stands at the moment. Maybe just holding on for a decent podium run is the Mercedes driver. Here comes Equaz now on the back of Potstuff, all over the back of Potstuff. We've got, well, I'm not quite sure what's happened there to Favre. I think Favre's off the circuit once again. Here comes the Aston Martin there. No ERS available for either of them, but the DRS is available for the Aston into turn 1 down the inside. The Aston makes the move, and he's got himself up into P4 there. Has Equaz. Good stuff indeed. Not sure what's happening to Favre there. He's had a bit of a problem there in sector 2 once again, but he's got himself back underway. Now into lap 27 we go, as we've got a nice lead there at the moment for Dylan and Brabbit there. They've got a 2-second lead over Kamara Racer in P3. Kamara has done a good job there of getting himself through the order on those mediums, and of course getting himself up the order as well with the extra pace there from the medium compound tyres. We saw him, of course, qualifying in P3. He's now back up into P3 after making a double stop there, which was quite an interesting strategy call as well, to be fair. But he's now got himself back up in the podium places. Equaz there in P4, so I should say, is trying to bring the gap down to the Ferrari to get himself back in the podium places. Potstuff, though, is going to try and cling on to the back of Equaz to try and pull himself along. Of course, the penalty situation for Potstuff is not very good indeed. He's got 6 seconds of penalties as Potstuff, so he's going to have to try and build the gap there somehow. And of course, it would be helpful if he could drag himself along with a bit of DRS assistance, wouldn't it? But unfortunately for Potstuff, he's just dropped out of that window. As it stands at the moment, we've got a yellow flag for V. Todd off the circuit at the penultimate corner there. Unfortunately for V. Todd, he's dropped down to P14, and I'm not quite sure what's happened there to V. Todd. He's had a bit of a difficult time there as he goes now through the final corner. But yeah, not good news indeed for V. Todd. He's had a bit of a struggle there through the final corner, penultimate corner, I should say. dropping down the order. Dan Murphy has got himself back in the car and back up into the points, actually. I'm not quite sure. We'll have to have a look at that after the race. But Cassell there in P11 now. He's dropped down behind the Aston Martin. Both the Aston Martins now in the points after Vitod there was doing a good job in P9. He's got now dropped out of the points, unfortunately, for the Ferrari outfit. But here comes Gordo there. Gordo doing a good job there in this race, as is Beast. He's got himself back up in the points paying positions. Reflection there doing a good job on those medium compound tyres. Favre got major rear wing damage. Say that fast. God. Anyway, yeah, Favre has got major rear wing damage. I'll say that a bit slower. So yeah, that is why he's got a bit of an issue there at the moment. I'm not quite sure why the race is set to standard, but it should be on standard and reduced their damage rate. But yeah, we'll have to re-look at that after the race, of course. 28 of 35 there. We're just about to finish lap 28 there. Here comes Brabant down around the final corner. DRS is going to be activated for the Mercedes. Can he make any moves there into turn one? He's going to use the ERS then to bring the Ring Rampagers, Serious Mushroom. I think trying to put some tongue twisters in the comment section to really get me going. But now towards turn two we go. There's still a nice sizable gap there for Dylan there to defend the position there. Down the order we've got Gorda being passed by Dan Murphy. Dan Murphy there is back in the car, thankfully, and he's back in the points for the time being. Hopefully he can stay in the race for the remaining 7 laps. Yellow flag, as we got yellow flag for Bradfield. Bradfield's had an issue there at the exit of turn 2. Safety car has been released. Not quite sure why. But it looks like there's a safety car for I think the front wing has completely dropped off the Alfa Romeo there. Not quite sure how this is going to play out for the drivers in the lead of the race, though. We'll have to see who's going to do what there at this stage of the race. That is not good news for the drivers with penalties either, because of course the penalties will be added on to the race classification at the finish line. So there we go then. I'm not quite sure what's going to happen next either, really, to be fair. We'll have to wait and see. We're going to have to see is Favre's going to carry on here, it looks like. But Dylan, I think, will we chance it? Will he go in the pit lane, or will he come back into the? Will he stay out? He's going to stay out. Is Dylan Brabant staying out as well? Here comes Kamara. Is he going to stay out too? He is staying out as well. Equaz also staying out. The top 4 all staying out. Potstuff also staying out, as is Irvine. I think he is. Reflection not looking to come into the pits either. It looks like Beast is staying out as well. Dan Murphy is going to chance it though. Dan Murphy from P9 is going to put himself back in the pit lane, and let's see if we can put a new set of soft compound tyres on and go to the end. Gordo staying out in P9, back up into P9 now is Gordo. Cassell there in P10. Dan Murphy is pitting, of course. Smithy Almighty carries on up into P11 now. V Todd is also in the pits. Wilson and Dopey Lemon is also in the pit lane, as is Bradfield. Favre has gone through. He has gone through there, as the safety car has now caught the leaders. But Dan Murphy, they're coming out of the pit lane in P12, is the highest runner who's made a pit stop under this third safety car. It's an uncharacteristic safety car race, unfortunately, for Silver, but we can understand it due to the nature of this circuit. I think it is one of the ones that are quite commonly frequented by the safety car, isn't it? So unfortunately for Silver, they've put on a bit of a show, but in one of the shows that they're not usually one to put on. We usually get some nice close racing, but unfortunately there's a few safety cars that have crept in. I think 2 of the safety cars at least were caused by just one driver having a spin and knocking off their front wing. So it was no incident specific between drivers, that is. It's just an incident between one driver and not being able to keep it on the track, unfortunately. But that was that. So yeah, bit of a shame there, as we've got the third safety car of the night coming out now. That's because there's been no rain, says Ginger Rage in the comment section as well. Yeah, I think we either get rain races or we get safety car races. Not quite sure which one I prefer, to be honest. It depends. We'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. It looks like Dopey Lemons has gone on the medium compound tyres, though. He's got a fresh set of mediums. He's opted not to put on the soft compound tyres. Maybe he thinks the softs might die out even within 5 laps or so. So that might be a good choice there, to be fair, from Dopey Lemons, then maybe to get himself back in the points paying positions, though. We'll have to find out. Good stuff indeed. So we've got Dylan there currently leading the way, of course. Brabant in P2, and then we've got Kamara there in P3. Dylan winning, says Becca Jones. Well, where have you been? You haven't been watching ALR, have you? That is on you. That is your fault. We're going to blame you for that, not anybody else. So that is completely on Welsh Maldonado, as Favre has got himself back to the pit lane. 14 safety cars, says Kaz. No, it's just the 3 so far. Hopefully this will be the last one. Driver of the day has entered the chat, says Serious Mushroom. Of course, Becca getting the driver of the day in, I think it was the Silverstone Grand Prix, wasn't it, for bronze? And yeah, very unlikely that will ever happen again, of course. There we go. Farf back out on the track, and let's just wait to see how long it's going to take to catch up. He's on the fresh soft compound tyres now, which is good news. He can catch up to the back of the safety car queue. Will he be able to catch up in this lap to get us back underway for green flag running at the end of lap 31? That will mean we've got 4 laps of green flag running, 32, 33, 34 and 35, if we can get our safety car in this lap. I'm not quite sure if we've got enough time for the AlphaTauri to catch up though on this occasion. We might have to stay under yellow flags for one more lap, I should say. Safety car, I don't think it's going to be in this lap, so we're going to have one more lap. It's going to be a 3-lap shootout, Serious Mushroom, not a 4. And we're going to have lap 33, lap 34 and 35 there under the green flag running to get ourselves to the end of this Hungarian Grand Prix, which will be very short, this one, with this sprint towards the end of this race, with only 3 laps to go under green flags. Of course, DRS will be activated at the end of lap 34, so they would technically be able to use it on lap 35, but only briefly, I would think. So that will be it will be available for the last lap, I should say. But there we go. One safety car tomorrow, says Kaz. Well, that is that done and dusted. They sorted that out for bronze tomorrow night. Of course, whilst we've got the safety car out, we've got, of course, bronze, which is coming up here in the Hungarian for the Hungarian Grand Prix of round 13 of their season 5 as well, which will be on tomorrow night on the lovely ALR YouTubes, and of course with Ginger Age in the comments box. And then on Wednesday night we've got the famous Bahrain Grand Prix. It's going to be the start of the season opener, but it's the 100% league. They're taking on the Bahrain Grand Prix. Of course, it's the start of their second half of the season, but of course it is crowning the start of the official F1 2023 season that was going to be starting in on the weekend. This Sunday is going to be the Bahrain Grand Prix, so we're going to be giving you a bit of a preview there of the Bahrain Grand Prix on Wednesday night in the 100% league. And of course the 100% league will be a lot better than the actual thing, of course, so don't worry about that. Stay tuned, and we'll get you some more ALR action. We've still got some ALR action coming up in silver, and we've got 3 laps to go as we restart this race. Of course, Dylan now in charge of the restart, and waiting for the safety car to get himself back in the pit lane there as he goes round the final corner to get himself into the box. But now Dylan there is ready to get ourselves back underway. It's the question of when he was going to drop the hammer there to get himself back underway. It looks like he's gone now already. He's caught Brabbit out, I think, there, has he? He might have done. It was close indeed. Brabbit there, I think he's got himself back underway though. Good stuff indeed. A good restart there from. He's got a spinner there back in the background. Irvine's had a problem there. Irvine's off the circuit. Irvine's gone around the corner there. He's had a problem there on the restart on the final corner. Had a spin. Unfortunately for Irvine, that is him out of the drop down the order. Dylan there has kept the lead of the race. Brabbit in P2. Kamara there in P3. Unfortunately for Irvine, I should say, he's had a problem there. Todd and Wilson battling away once again. Todd dropping down the order to P13. Dan Murphy there on the fresh, also on the fresh, on the fresh softs, that is. He's trying to get himself past Smithy Almighty. Can he make a move there into turn 4? It's going to be side by side between the Williams and the Aston Martin. It's close indeed. Around the outside goes Dan Murphy there, up into P10 as well. Is the Aston Martin. Good stuff indeed. He's made those softs work to fruition there on the first lap there. Here comes Smith the Almighty. Oh, there's contact, I think, between himself and Wilson. Another spinner there of Ultimate Beast. Beast is down the field there at the chicane as well. Not quite sure what is going on as Farf is once again off the circuit as well. There goes Beast going through. Todd has been passed by Bradfield this time. And Wilson's got himself past Smithy Almighty this time as well, up into the points paying positions. Oh, off the circuit goes an Alfa Romeo and down into the... Oh, God, that is not good news. That is a bit of a lunge indeed from Bradfield there. And now goes Vitod trying to go around the outside. Those hard compound tyres are no match at the moment for the soft compound tyres, as you can see there on the Alfa Romeo and the Ferrari as well, going around the final corner this time as Smithy's dropped down to P13. We can see, like I said, I don't think the softs were the right compound tyre to be on at all. Ultimate Beast is in the pit lane there. He's got himself into the box. I'm not sure if there's damage there for the McLaren driver. Smithy's got himself past Vitod or not. What's happened there? Vitod's gone over. Smithy's gone deep there, and he's lost positions to Gordo, no, to Dopey Lemons as well. Unfortunately for Smithy there, he's dropped down the order, and now around the outside goes Dopey Lemons there, as once again we go through into turns 3 as well. Smithy's got dropping down the order there on those, unfortunately, those old hard compound tyres. They're no match for the fresh softs and for the mediums there of Dopey Lemons there. Gordo's doing a good job of hanging on at the moment. Cassell all over the back of him there with Dan Murphy there, trying to make a move there up into P8 there, out in the lead. We have had no changes so far. We're on lap 34. We're going to have one more lap to go. We've got the driver of the day poll in the comment section. Let me have a look at the position changes as well. You've got Dylan, Brabbit, Equaraz, I'm not sure how you spell that, and Gordo. Gordo there up 10 places is my vote for driver of the day. He's done a fantastic job. He's going to gain 2 places as well, I think, with the penalty situation for the drivers ahead of him for the Red Bull team. So Gordo could be 5th, as Serious Mushroom has rightly pointed out in the comment section. Good stuff indeed if he can hold on to it. He has to hold on to it for now. He's got very old hard compound tyres, and he needs to make sure he can nurse them to the finish line. We're on to lap 35 of 35. We're on to lap 35 of 35. DRS is not activated. I thought it would be. Here comes Dan Murphy. They're trying to get himself past Cassell. They're going down the outside into turn 1 this time on the Alfa Romeo. Can he make the move stick? He has got the move done and dusted up into P8. There goes the Aston Martin, and he's up into P8 before the braking zone of turn 1, and that is him up into a good points positions after having struggles there throughout the race. Becca, if you were watching the race, you would find out what's happened to Dan Murphy throughout this one, but thankfully he's got himself back in the points positions. Gordo there. Oh, it looked like there was a bit of an angle there for Dan Murphy to try and make a move, but no dice there for the Aston Martin. He's going to have to bide his time. Gordo still hanging on there to P7 for the time being, out in front. Dylan is checking out. He's got the gap there to Brabbit there. Brabbit is unfortunately, I think he's just dropped back too far, unfortunately, for the Mercedes driver. Now Equaz is putting the pressure on Kamara into the final corner. No, not quite. He can't quite make the move. He's not been able to make the move there, I should say. Equaz stays in P4, making a good job there of keeping himself in the race. But here comes Dylan now round the final corner. Dylan there to win his first ALR Silver Grand Prix, or another ALR Silver Grand Prix. He crosses the line there to win the Hungarian Grand Prix for the Williams team. Fantastic win there for Dylan. A good controlled race indeed. Brabbit there in P2. A fantastic race from him as well from P4 on the grid. Kamara there in P3. I think he started P3 as well. Great stuff indeed from Kamara to get himself back on the podium. Equaz there, P4. Great recovery drive indeed from the Aston Martin driver. So I would say good stuff indeed from Equaz as well to get himself back in the points after a very difficult work. Even the midpoint of that race was difficult for him. So he's got himself back in the order there as Equaz. Pot Stuff, I think, finished P5 in the end there, which is good stuff indeed, even with the penalty situation for the Red Bull driver. Good stuff, good points for him as well. Driver of the day was Dan Murphy, though. He did manage to get himself there or thereabouts. The driver of the day poll is activated in the comment section. Of course, you've got Dylan, Brabbit, Equaz or Gordo. Gordo currently leading the way there on the vote situation. But there we go. Our poll sitter, well, not our poll sitter, sorry, our race winner of LOI Dylan has got the race win there in the Williams. Good stuff indeed for him. He celebrates there the first place on the podium, and good stuff indeed for the Williams team as well. Points, says Gordo as well. He's very happy with that, as we got the champagne being sprayed there for the winner of the Hungarian Grand Prix, ALR Silver Season 5, Round 13 of Hungary. And a very good win indeed there for Dylan. There you can see Brabbit also celebrating his P2, as is Kamara Racer in P3. Equaz, like I said, P4. Pot Stuff did get P5 indeed with that, even with the penalty situation. Gordo P6 as well. Fantastic stuff indeed. Great points indeed for Gordo. His first points of the season. Dan Murphy there recovering after a few issues there to get P7. Reflection, P8 as well in the Red Bull. Wilson there P9, Bradfield in P10. Outside the points we had Dopey Lemons there, Cassell, Smithy Almighty, V Todd and Irvine Farf there did get themselves across the line, as did Ultimate Beast there, getting the fastest lap point as well on the final lap. Good stuff indeed, and not giving up there was Ultimate Beast there to get that final point of the race as well. Genix Josh there did retire in the pits, as did Fanjo and Grimmy, unfortunately. So that was 3 DNFs there from the Hungarian Grand Prix, but nonetheless an entertaining Grand Prix, 100%. And we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully we can get the drivers there into the podium interviews as well. Dylan there, Brabbit and Kamara Racer deserved podium runners as well. P3 from P3 on the grid there was Kamara as well to finish P3. Brabbit there moved up from P4 to finish P2, and Dylan there moved up from P2 on the grid to finish P1. Good stuff from all 3 drivers, and what a Grand Prix that was indeed. We'll have to wait and see if they're going to join us as well before the interviews. But let's have a look, and we'll have to find out as well once we've got everybody in the session or not. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But what a race that was indeed. Blimey, I'm getting a bit sweaty now. So there we go. That just shows what type of a race it has been. So there we go. We're going to have, I think we're going to have that. I think that's going to be it, to be fair, because nobody seems to be joining us in the comment section, in the comments box, I should say. But good stuff indeed. Well done to all the drivers there for fantastic races. Fantastic race, I should say. I'm not quite sure if anybody's going to actually try and invite the drivers or not. Fingers crossed we can get them in. But it looks like I'll have to do it myself, actually. Bear with us 1 second. We're going to have a short break whilst we try and get the drivers invited. Nobody has been able to do it for me. Brabbit, Kamara Racer, and it was Dylan, wasn't it, as well? Can't find Dylan, I'm afraid. How do I add people to the party if I don't know who they are? This is helpful, isn't it? There he is. Great stuff indeed. I don't know if anybody's joining us, so bear with us 1 second whilst we get ourselves. We'll just have to wait and see, to be honest. I think we're going to have to just sit here and hope for the time being. But if nobody jumps in, then we'll just have to end the stream there, unfortunately. And that will be that. But good stuff indeed from all the drivers there who've put in a good show. We might call it there, I think, after the fantastic Grand Prix indeed for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Let me go and find the race winner there, of course, which was Dylan's car. Where's the Williams driver? There it is. So yeah, what a good race that was indeed. Thank you very much for joining us as well. Of course, we've got the Bronze Grand Prix coming up tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. For the Hungarian Grand Prix, and the ALR 100% League, of course, coming once again on Wednesday night. It's going to be the Bahrain Grand Prix, but it's going to be great. Thanks very much for joining us there as well, and we'll of course see you very soon.